Hi, friends. So it's been about a year since Tears of the Kingdom came out, and did you all know it had a linear plot? Um, it's one of those things where I've not really seen a lot of people talking about the linear plot for Tears of the Kingdom. A lot of people have been talking about more of, is it good, is it bad? Well, I've collected some evidence to show you, Tears of the Kingdom has a linear plot, one of the big things people complained about for Breath of the Wild. So why don't we start there? Some background for Breath of the Wild. You started out on the Great Plateau, and you could literally go anywhere afterwards. And theoretically, before you even got off the Great Plateau, you could go anywhere on the Great Plateau too. Like, you didn't have to go to where the, little quest marker was telling you to go. You could literally, like, go hunting, look to see if there were any treasure chests around. You could literally do anything else on the Great Plateau. Not a lot, but you could do anything besides the main quest part until you got off. Like, when you do finally, figure out what the main quests for Breath of the Wild were, the main quests were free the divine beasts and beat Ganon. Like, there is no order of operations for this. You could literally go to whichever divine beast you wanted to go to first. And that could be, I usually did the Lanayru one first because Mipha's Grace, I died a lot. But there are plenty of videos out there now that you can find of people going directly from the Great Plateau to Ganon and beating Ganon with just four hearts and like sticks. They literally had just sticks. So the first piece of evidence that I have that, Tears of the Kingdom actually has a linear plot is hub cities. Lookout Landing is your hub city, and anytime you're like wanting to know where to go next, like if you didn't already have like a plan mapped out for you, you could just go to Lookout Landing and ask Pura. And there are other games that have hub cities, hub worlds. Fallout had all of its hub cities. In World of Warcraft, you have Orgrimmar and Stormwind, which are, depending upon which faction you're playing, those are where you went back to every time a new expansion came out. And then, like, even Kingdom Hearts had Transverse Town, which was, like, where everyone came together from all of the different worlds to, like, trade and do anything else that they needed to do. The second piece of evidence that I have is the environmental puzzles that are in Tears of the Kingdom. There are several different types of environments in Tears of the Kingdom that you need to, survive. And if you're following the linear plot, like not Pura. Is it Pura? Anyways, the first suggestion you go to is Tabantha and Hebra, the cold regions. And in playing the Great Sky Islands, you've already received some food and some gear that helps you deal with the cold environment of those regions. So that's why they're like, go here first. You already have gear to deal with these problems. The second one they suggest you go to is Death Mountain. And, it's cooled since Breath of the Wild, so it's easier to navigate. And, there are lots of ore deposits around, so you can go and buy the fireproof suit relatively easy if you run around Death Mountain after it's been cooled and get a lot of ore deposits and just sell those. They also have their fireproof lizards running around and smoldering butterflies, so you can make fireproof potions if you don't want to get the gear. Because I understand the gear's kind of ugly. But yeah, there are options within the region itself that you can use to basically survive the environment. And then you have Lanayru. Lanayru is not a harsh environment still. The problem is that you have this sludge coming down from the sky, and if you step into it, it slows your movement down. Which, may not be that big of a deal, but whenever you got things that are, higher levels trying to kill you, yeah, no, you gotta be able to move and dodge appropriately, or you're gonna get wrecked. And in Lanayru, they have the splash fruit. That is, basically a gourd that has a bunch of water in it that you can splash yourself with in order to remove the sludge. So by this point, if you've been following the linear plot in Tears of the Kingdom, you get to the Gerudo Desert. They've been telling you from, every time you go to check up where you need to go next, hey, there's some really weird monsters there, there's stuff going on we don't understand, maybe save that area for last. And whenever you get there, you have to deal with the shifting hot and cold environments of the Gerudo Desert. But you should have either gear or food items at this point that can help you stay cold during the day and stay warm at night. Other games have environmental puzzles. The most recent example is Pal World, where, there are areas where it's either really hot, really cold, and until your character's a certain level, you don't have the ability to craft the gear to go into those areas. Sandrock, if you've ever played that game, it has certain areas that are like poisonous, so you literally need a biohazard suit in order to go into those areas or you're going to take damage. Fallout, Poppy Playtime, Bioshock, they all have areas where unless you have specific gear or you're a certain level, you won't be able to go into those areas. Another piece of evidence that I found was the scaling difficulty. The enemies change as you gain more hearts, beat more dungeons, they become more powerful, harder to kill, and they hit harder and have better gear with them. The main enemies are the constructs found in the dungeons. The more dungeons you conquer, the more powerful those constructs become, with, their horns showing their level of difficulty. If, they have a very simple looking, just straight up horn, they're very weak constructs. But if they have a nice big fancy horn, like this guy right here, he's way more powerful. He has better gear. He's going to hit harder and he's going to be harder to take out. And then if you follow the linear plot line and you don't do any of the side quests, because there is a side quest that gets you down into the depths fairly early, where you have to deal with gloom. If you're not doing any of the side quests, the first time that you go into the depths is with the second dungeon, Death Mountain. You basically fall down into Death Mountain and fall into the depths and have to start dealing with gloom damage. Gloom damage is where the enemies, if they hit you, you lose access to hearts. They render them useless. Now, you probably at this point, having just walked around the Great Sky Island and a little bit around Hyrule, found like pieces of food items that can remove this gloom damage. If, you get far enough along, you can actually get some equipment that also helps you deal with the gloom damage. And when we talk about the weird monsters in the desert, the Gibdos and Queen Gibdo, like these guys take half damage if you use a normal weapon against them. Now, if your weapon has elemental properties to it, they take normal damage. So by the time you get to the Gerudo Desert, if you follow the linear plot of Tears of the Kingdom, you should have plenty of weapons and plenty of fruit and other things that you can throw at them that deal elemental damage, so they're not as difficult to deal with. You just have to remember to equip the appropriate things. Other games also have scaling difficulty. I have a map here for WoW where, you have the starting areas, usually level 1 to 10. But you can, as soon as you get free reign in that game, go to like the level 48, 55 area from Kalimdor, depending upon what you're playing. Or, even over in the Eastern Kingdoms, you can go from the level 20 to 30 area up to very easily like the 40 area, the 50 area. You can go anywhere. You just may not have a great time at it. Skyrim, also, if you're not following the linear plot for Skyrim, you may have a harder time getting into certain areas just because you don't know where the path is in order to get to those other areas. Fallout 3, go anywhere you want, but there's no guarantee that you're going to have the equipment or the ability to deal with the enemies that you find there. And then the final piece of evidence that I have that Tears of the Kingdom has a linear plot is that there is a quest line to finding the 5th sage. If you do not follow the quest line, Thunderhead Sky Islands is very difficult to navigate because you can't see more than like a foot ahead of you, and you have a whole lot of thunder and lightning that you have to deal with. Now, if you do the quest line, it'll clear that up. You won't have any difficulties navigating the islands. You'll still have to deal with the thunder and the lightning, but by that point, you've been to the Gerudo Desert. And if you do some of the side quests there, you get the Thunder Helm, which basically makes you immune to lightning. Also, the Construct Production Facility It's really hard to reach in the depths if you try to get to it from any other way than what the quest line sends you down path-wise. I did it, and yeah, it's kind of a pain to get to it, but you can do it. So yeah, that's the evidence that I was able to accumulate for, Tears of the Kingdom having a linear plot point. So the next time you decide you want to start a new file for Tears of the Kingdom, try going through and following the linear plot line, Use the hub world for lookout landing, approach each area, like, okay, what gear, what equipment do I need to get in order to survive this area? And you may find it, a little bit more enjoyable. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Love you. Bye.